Wow. Okay, we're still wearing masks, but we need a little miracle or two to change it, turn it around, and dissolve this virus from our fears, from our minds, okay? Is there anybody here from another Unity today? Anybody here for the first time? Are you here for the first time? And you dare to sit down front? We have a gift for you. We have a girl sitting down here in the front. What? Okay, wave your hand so she can see you. There she is. Okay. There's a keys to the new Lexus in the parking lot for you. You were brave. You sat down front. That's fantastic. Is there anybody here for the last time? Had enough? Okay. You got to keep moving with life. Life is amazing. It's beautiful. Talked to a gal who was in her 90s yesterday. She said, I can't get over the fact that life is so beautiful, and yet people don't seem to get involved with understanding that. They're not in a state of gratitude. They're in their heads, worrying about things, fearing things. She said, I don't fear anything. I just know that God is everywhere present, and I'm enjoying it. So that's what we ought to be doing ourselves, enjoying the presence of God in every moment, in every place, in everything. And that's why we embrace diversity in unity, because diversity is interesting, and it's beautiful, and it's original, and it's great. So just get in touch with life in all of its myriad ways and enjoy these moments. In fact, I order you to enjoy this day more than you've enjoyed any day in the last week. That's it. And to enjoy it, you have to know you're beloved by the presence of this intelligence that is life itself. It wants to enjoy this day through you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Boulder, those in-house and those joining us online. A few things we got going on here this week at Unity of Boulder. This Wednesday, following our midweek meditation that's led by Jack and Norma at 7 p.m. At 8 p.m., we're going to be having our fall equinox celebration, which will be also led by Norma. It's free. You don't have to sign up for it. We will take an offering at it, but we're going to do it outside at the in our garden area, provided the weather holds up the way it has been lately. So it should be a really fun event outside with a lot of singing, chanting, and drumming. If you happen to have your own hand drum, please go ahead and bring that with us. But we'll have some extras in case you don't have one. And so that is this Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And here's Andy Lennox once again to tell us about what's going on in the Uniteens program.
Are you sick of me yet? Have you been earning your karma points? I really appreciated that Jack talked about life and the importance of life, and I want to share with you something that I heard just a week ago from a professor who teaches guidance counselors at a graduate level. And the stat is that reported incidents of suicide and suicide threats among the kids that we work with here have increased by 40%. That's reported, so who knows how many kids are thinking about hurting themselves and not reaching that blissful age of 90 where you can enjoy everything about life. So I'm here to just tell your friends, tell everybody you know, become advocates for the Unity programs for youth. Not just Uniteens, that's the group that I love working with, it's my passion, but all kids. They really need it now more than ever. So please, tell people, and also Mike was kind enough to set up an email address, andy@unityofboulder.com. I will answer every email, every question. I will meet with anybody, talk to anybody, and just tell them the beauty that we can bring into their lives. So I implore you, I beg you, I bug you, please be advocates for the programs of Unity, and especially our youth programs. Thank you, Mike. Was that 60 seconds?
Close enough. Close enough. All right, that's all the announcements for today.
Good morning. My name is Marcy Baruch, and I'm so honored and privileged to be with you today. I'd love to invite you, us all, to just find the natural rhythm of your breath and feel how this life is permeating, saturating every aspect of your being, and is your very being itself. This is, I remember the presence. I remember the presence. I return to the presence. I am one with the presence of the power and the way of love. I restore in the presence. I adore in the presence. I am more in the presence of the living heart of God. I remember the presence. I return to the presence. I am one with the presence of the power and the way of love. I restore in the presence. I adore in the presence. I am more in the presence of the living heart of God. I remember the presence, beloved. I return to the presence, moving in me. I am one with the presence of the power and the way of love. I restore in the presence. I adore in the presence. I am more in the presence of the living heart of God.
Thank you so much. That was a really beautiful way to start touching and just breathing that in, the presence of that living God within each and every one of us. Today, my talk is titled, Your Divine Self Behind the Mask. And we giggle because we're all wearing masks, and I actually wrote it talking about the shadow or the shame that we created masks for. And then when I gave it to Mike, he's like, that was smart. There's like a pun in there. I was like, oh, that's right. We're all wearing masks on top of it. So I guess the universe was being silly because it didn't cross my mind until I actually gave it to him to publish in the newspaper. But I think it's an important part of the work that we do in this practice to recognize that we have built masks between ourselves and our divine selves, and in the unfoldment and how that shows up in life. So today is the 5th talk of a 5-talk series that I've been giving, and the talk title, again, is Your Divine Self, but we're going to be covering the 5th principle of the 5 basic principles of unity, and this is what it says. Through thoughts, words, and actions, we live in the truth we know. Knowledge of these spiritual principles is not enough. We must live them. So you'll see that actually this one encompasses all of the principles. So the first one we talked about the power of the tongue. No, the first one we talked about visualization, what we hold in our mind's eye. And then the next week we talked about the power of the tongue, so the words. So we did thoughts and words. And actions, we talked about how God is love, and so therefore we're the actual expression of that love. And so we have to find a way to become that exuberance of unconditional love within ourselves so that we therefore express. So today we're going to put them all to test and to task, to basically cover how do we actually live this? Like we have to put it into action, right? Faith and deeds is what it's really covering. We can't just say it or pretend that we are it. We have to be it. And action makes us question and look at ourselves from an ego point of view of how do we behave, how do we speak, how do we handle every situation when people aren't looking or people aren't listening. Who is the truth of your being when it's just you and God? And what is unfolding in the midst of every aspect, whether somebody's holding you accountable as a spiritual being, or are you just being in your deeds always a spiritual being? So it's faith and deeds. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or a sister is without clothes and daily food, and if one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is deed. But someone will say, you have faith. I have deeds. Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by my deeds. So that's the action. We don't need to speak our spiritual truth and act our spiritual truth out to people to somehow better ourselves as holier than thou. It's the actions, it's the deeds. It's actually within the truth of the unfoldment of what we share. And deeds doesn't always involve only taking care of homeless people or without clothes or food. Deeds meaning how are you showing up for all of your life? Living this truth doesn't mean that we only give that love and that unconditional love to the people and the situations that are easy for us. The actual deed is doing it with the difficult situations that arise. I remember as a child growing up in church, and when you're a child, you don't realize how empathic you are. By nature, we're very much vibrational beings, and I could feel the energy of the people that attended our church, and at that time we had 400 people going to a service, between 2 services, and there were so many people in the center at that time, and it was a lot. And I remember Shad and I used to sit underneath the reception table in the fellowship hall and just feel the energy of all the people getting the food off of the table. It was just our way to hide and not be a focal point of being children of a very popular father, and hearing everybody's heart stories and things like that. Like when you're little, they don't realize that you're also little and you don't understand and grasp all these principles quite yet. So we'd hide and just feel their vibration, and you could feel like the ones that were really living the truth and the ones that really kind of weren't. And it was just an interesting perspective. But there was this one parishioner that did serve in the church and was quite a good volunteer. And this person had children our age, and we'd go and have sleepovers at this person's house. But this is the kind of person that always was like with the squinty eyes with everybody, just so holy and so amazing, and you just thought this was Mother Teresa walking around. And I had a sleepover at this person's house, and this person was making dinner, and they had a dog that was really slinky and strange, and when you get around it. And I noticed that she just kicked that dog out of the way while she was cooking and stuff, and there was this energy that was just shocking, like shocking to this level of this prayer hands and this saintly figure, and here is this abusive behavior towards this beautiful animal. And when you'd go to the house, it always was just really like begging for love, but it was scared it was going to get kicked. And growing up in a family that's like dog, animal centric beyond, like how we treat our dogs is how we treat God, our children, our parents, all those things. And I remember going back to my parents and telling them that I had witnessed this, and so had my brother. That changed me forever, that visual from like a 7-year-old mind. I realized that we can pretend to be a lot of things, and we can have a lot of masks. I didn't really understand what the shadow work was, and I didn't know what the masks really represented until I did my own work through moving through the mask and the things we build to protect ourselves in some way. That you really can't know the truth of a being until you have completely opened your heart and you can feel the energy, that authenticity, that vulnerability. Spiritual path is not a show. It is a walk. It is a practice of how you show up when nobody is looking. How do you handle the situation when your dog goes to the bathroom and you don't have a dog bag, right? Do you go home and get that dog bag and go back and fulfill it? It's that little of stuff, right? I loved yesterday, I was at Marshall's, and Rennie and Katya and I picked out a little plant that had a little price tag, and we found a pot to put it in that would hang. It was for a birthday gift. And we were standing in line, and we still had the plant inside of the pot. And Katya goes, "Oh wait, we got to separate this, or they're going to think they come together." Right? You could accidentally have been charged for one thing. You know what I mean? It's that fine-tuned being aware of your actions. It's not a show for someone else to experience. It is truly living in that divine alignment, and when you really live from that place, that's where the blessings come from. We can speak to the universe kind words. We can think beautiful things and attract all those things. But if it's based in quicksand and not a deep and truthful foundation, if you're wondering why things are not reflecting back that which you think you're putting out there, you got to go deep. You have to go deeper. So the final principle moves people to action in leading a good life. These concepts combine to form a belief system that is the basis for the unity spiritual practice. And one of the Bible quotes that we use that also relates with this principle is, I guess I didn't type it, I have to read it. It's in John 13:34 through 35. "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, even as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." And that's for everyone. That's for the boss that's difficult. That's for the child that is struggling with something and it's difficult. That is for the actual things that are actually happening in life, and we don't just focus on the things that are going well and just keep giving love there and going, they have to hit bottom and then I'll go over there and I'll go and help. It's being a divine force and recognizing that it's the difficult and the shallow areas of our life that needs our undivided attention. Not to get lost in the pain body of it, but to move through it and heal what is being called in every situation. I came across this poem. It's a Jewish poem that's actually supposed to be shared at memorials. But I wanted to share, I think it really says how we can give love in this universe, and it comes from a perspective of somebody that's died that tells us how to live with the loss of this person. I like the idea of Jesus dying and saying, this is what I would like you to do now that I am no longer in the physical. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother, walking the streets beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give to me. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. Love does not die. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. And I love, when I read this, I saw it on Facebook first, and then actually somebody read it at a memorial last weekend. So there was no coincidences, because the first time I had ever seen it, I shared it with a few friends of mine. And then somebody read it last weekend. I love this idea that there's nowhere we're not supposed to be giving love. So it's the brother that is struggling. We still give love. We don't judge and wonder what got them to that situation. We understand that we've all been scathed and damaged through life, and that we are here to help each other up, even if we're still healing our own stuff, because by giving, we receive. We heal our own stuff by giving. By giving, it's not my responsibility to figure out what put somebody in a position of suffering and destitute and struggle, but it is my responsibility, if my eyes have been put upon it, to reach out and find a way that I can help. So we have to bring illumination to the shadow figure within us that has had a voice beyond the spiritual being. There's been a voice. There's this thing that lives there sometimes inside of us that talks us out of giving fully, being vulnerable, being authentic, being honest, for fear that some way we'll be rejected or some way we won't be loved, for something will happen where we feel like we'll have to defend our authentic, gorgeous selves. So we have to visit that shadow sometimes. We don't have to dive into the shadow and let it take over, but to recognize where we still have pieces of healing that has to be done. And the Course in Miracles says it this way. The shadowy figures from the past are precisely what you must escape. They are not real and have no hold over you unless you bring them with you. They carry the spots of pain in your mind, directing you to attack in the present in retaliation of a past that is no more. And this decision is one of future pain. Unless you learn that past pain is an illusion, you're choosing a future of illusions and losing the many opportunities you could find for release in the present. The ego would preserve your nightmares and prevent you from awakening and understanding they are past. Would you recognize a holy encounter if you are merely perceiving it as a meeting with your own past? For you would be meeting no one, and the sharing of salvation, which makes the encounter holy, would be excluded from your sight. The Holy Spirit teaches that you always meet yourself, and the encounter is holy because you are. The ego teaches that you always encounter your past. And because your dreams were not holy, the future cannot be, and the present is without meaning. And I want to read to you what metaphysically salvation means in unity. Salvation is the restitution of people. We don't have to use man or woman, it's all of us. The restitution of people to his spiritual birthright, regaining conscious possession of our God-given attributes. It comes as the result of redemption, the change from sin to righteousness, Salvation comes to people as a free gift from God. It embodies a knowledge of God that frees one from all limitations and points the way by which mind and body may be lifted up to the spiritual place of consciousness. By which mind and body may be lifted up to the spiritual place of consciousness. I think I typed that twice, sorry. But traditional Christianity believes that Jesus is the outer atonement for our sins, which is not salvation. Salvation is based solely on an inner overcoming, a change in consciousness. It is a cleansing of the mind through Christ consciousness from thoughts of evil, but in unity we call thoughts of error, limited thoughts that keep us in bondage and holding ourselves from our true unfoldment. So visiting that shadow can be difficult. And I realized this week I kind of accidentally took myself back into a shadow that is pretty much healed. And it was because I picked a book for my women's group called The Undefended Self that was extremely transformative to me 10 years ago. And I remembered how wonderful it was, and I decided to choose it for the women's group. And then I read the first 2 chapters, and it unearthed things that still have some fragments there for me. And it took me from a very balanced place, because I'm doing some meridian work and doing some stuff to really get myself in a state of wholeness and not in a state of fight or flight, or a lot of the things that I've carried from the different traumas that I've come from in the past. And I felt that fight or flight feeling come back to me by visiting it. And I talked to a friend about it, and what she said is it's okay to dip your toe in it to reveal those little areas that are not healed, but you don't dive fully into that pool and immerse yourself again back in the past. And it was such a good reminder for healing that sometimes these things still come up and we need to face them, but we don't have to dive fully in and just move in and go backwards, right? But there's still a little something sitting there. So a lot of times people will say to me they'll, give me feedback on my talking styles and things like that. And one of the things I hear a lot is you're so vulnerable and you're so willing to share the difficult stuff that's happened in your life. Or you're so willing to share awesome experiences in your life. And I saw a quote that Brene Brown wrote, and she says, vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. And I so agree with that. Because when we've had deep shadows in our life, which I have, and I'm going to explain where they came from, once something finally breaks us down completely and we have to face all those shadows, it's usually a really intense year or two where you move through a lot of it. And eventually you realize you are left in a state of vulnerability. In a beautiful way, in a powerful way. We don't let people invade energetically into your life, but you live from this incredibly raw, open place where you actually believe miracles are happening at all times. There's always a possibility of everything. So you're in a state of this moment. There's no more story from the past. There's no more looking to the future. It's every day is exciting. Every day is an opportunity. Every day is this bouncing off place for so much more, and you just can't wait to see the good that's going to come from all this. And I realize there's a few things that have happened in my life that definitely have been triggers in my life. First of all, growing up in a family in the public eye, that is actually not the easiest thing, and I've gotten really honest about that. I'm finding myself more and more a little bit anxious to get on a stage lately because there's so much feedback about what I wear, what people think about what I wore, and if it went together with the right shoes, and it's like really distracting when I'm like getting ready on Sunday. Now I feel like this pressure, and today I had a terrible day and I couldn't find anything to wear, so this is what you get. I knew I was doing this sermon, so the universe is like, you are not going to find anything. You have the worst hair day of your life, too. So, but growing up as little kids in a church with, 400 or 500 people, it was a lot more than that, actually. It was really a large congregation at the time. We had like 400 parents. That's what it felt like. So every outfit, everything we did, every single action, running around, we didn't have a home. We lived in a church. You're in a church. My children live in this church. I don't have dreams of my childhood home. I have dreams of my childhood church, our old church, of playing in there and all the things that we did and all that. But having constant critiques on your behavior. I mean, my parents are already strong, disciplinary parents. You already have that, and then you add, it eventually just made you just build masks to become whatever all these people expected ministers' children to act like, right? And as I, got older, I remember on an Easter I wore a dress and I think my midriff showed a little bit, and I was dancing like 20 hours a week, so I should be showing it, and if I had that midriff, I'd be wearing it up here right now. I had a woman go, I can't believe, I'm like 16. I was showing my midriff. I don't know any 16-year-olds that don't, but I remember that just shocked me. And I never ever showed it again. Like that kind of just feedback all the time on your self-expression, finding what you like to wear, all of those different things. So the critiques, that constant critique. And then last Saturday, I was here. I was just about to be a part of Gail Wagner's memorial service. And I was standing in the lobby, and a woman came in that attends our center, and she came up really close. And she goes, "You look really different." And that's all, with an unhappiness about what she's looking at with me. And it shocked my system, not a follow-up like, I don't even know. Do I look old? Is that what you wanted to say? Right? Like as women, we go, wow. And that affected me for 4 days. I look different. Well, I am aging just like everybody else. So we have to be very careful about the words we share with people, because do we always want to be self-aware of what we're wearing or what? This is not important. It's that expansion, it's that beauty. What are we saying that's building people up? What are we thinking that's building others up? And if we're saying that to someone else, we're probably being pretty hard on ourselves as well, right? Being really hyper-aware of how we are kind in the way we share. It's all of it. It's just not sometimes. I want to share this video with you by Brene Brown. It's a little short thing.
You gotta dance with the one who brung you. And I did not learn about vulnerability and courage and creativity and innovation from studying vulnerability. I learned about these things from studying shame. And so I want to walk you in to shame. Jungian analysts call shame the swampland of the soul. And we're going to walk in, and the purpose is not to walk in and, construct a home and live there. It is to put on some galoshes and walk through and find our way around. And then it worked. You know what the big secret about TED is? I can't wait to tell people this. I guess I'm doing it right now. This is like the failure conference. No, it is. You know why this place is amazing? Because very few people here are afraid to fail. And no one that gets on the stage so far that I've seen has not failed. I have failed miserably, many times. I don't think the world understands that because of shame. There's a great quote that saved me this past year by Theodore Roosevelt. A lot of people refer to it as the man in the arena quote. And it goes like this: "It is not the critic who counts. It is not the man who sits and points out how the doer of deeds could have done things better and how he falls and stumbles. The credit goes to the man in the arena whose face is marred with dust and blood and sweat. But when he's in the arena at best, he wins, and at worst he loses. But when he fails, when he loses, he does so daring greatly. And that's what this conference to me is about.
It's really a matter of, are you willing to get in the arena, or are you sitting and observing and pointing out where people that are in the arena, how they could do it better for you? You know, if we really are going to expand and grow and be the authentic, powerful beings that God created us to be in an unfoldment, we have to be willing to be brave. Not live small and rely on our laurels of what worked before, especially now. Everything has changed. We are in the midst of change all the time. We all have been for over a year and a half. So it's growing ourselves, giving this opportunity to ourselves to become the greatest expanded versions of ourselves. And that's not the version of ourselves that we show other people, but the version of ourselves that we show ourselves and are as this radiating light for others and ourselves, right? In The Eye of the Storm by Gary Simmons, he writes, once you have begun to explore the underlying beliefs that support how you are relating to a situation, begin to see that these beliefs are not you. They're simply the strategies you have used to protect or explain yourself. They are access points on your timeline reminiscent of those early moments in your life when you didn't get what you needed from your caregivers. But now you have the opportunity to give yourself what you need in order to express your wholeness and worth. In a situation that mirrors one of those tender places in your psyche, remember that whatever insecurities or fears you have, they are not who you really are. They were conditioned into you. You are bigger than your insecurities and fears because you are whole. You are a whole and perfect child of God. You see, to be human is to be flawed and imperfect. And also, to be human means that we can experience within us an inherent wholeness and perfection. An inherent wholeness and perfection. And it's okay when we see these parts of us that are flawed and imperfect. But once we recognize that they're flawed and imperfect, we don't sit there in the swamp and just swim in it. We visit it, we face it head on, we figure out its origin, and then we move it through us. You know, all we have to do is visit it and look at it and go, that's where that belief came from, that I'm less than or that I'm not lovable. Okay, good. Well, I am lovable. I was taught this, to put your fingers right here on your chest when you just want to calm your system down. And it works. I used to go like this. I was told to tap here, and I actually, that does something to your kidneys and actually makes you feel stressed. So I was doing it wrong all these years. But this really works. You can be like in your car, you have a hard phone call and sit down and go, oh, okay. I am lovable even though I had that situation happen in my life. Because I'm a perfect child of God. And the only thing that's hurting me and making me afraid is me living in the past of something that made me feel less than perfect as a child of God. No matter what is going on. Because no one is against us. I mean, truly, there is no one, no matter what. This is the absolute truth. This is very important, this part right here. You may not believe it now. You may have a lifetime of evidence to the contrary. But until you realize that the entire universe is for you, you may never experience your wholeness and true worth. The purpose is to awaken you to the truth that there is only one presence and one power at work, in your life, and that this presence and power lives in you as the Spirit of God. For this reason, no one or nothing can be against you. To realize this is to claim your divine inheritance as a beloved creation of God. So where we see the story that you would say, to the contrary, I have somebody proving to me that they're against me. My boss, my brother, my, whatever situation where we feel like we've lost our power and we feel powerless. When we recognize that that powerless place is a place to be visited, that is the shadow, where you don't believe you can do anything else, and that you've hit the limit of what you can express as a perfect child of God to bring healing, to bring joy, to bring unconditional love to. And that's the teacher. It's those situations that are there to grow us out of the limited thought process that we believed about ourselves, when we decide that we are empowered and that we are powerful in our words and our thoughts and our actions. And we really use them in those difficult situations. And you watch how the story changes. And when you overcome, you just learned a powerful spiritual tool, which is knowing you are holy. You are a spiritual, miracle-making being before human being. There's a shamanic blessing, and it goes like this, translated from the Nahuatl language. I release my partner from the obligation to complete me. I release my parents from feeling they failed me. I release my children from the need to bring me pride so they can write their own paths to the rhythm of their hearts. I don't lack anything. I cherish my essence, my way of expressing it, even if not everyone can understand me. I learn from all beings all the time. I honor the divinity in me, and I honor the divinity in you. Amen.
Freely we have received the inspiration we need to actually operate effectively, beautifully, and joyfully in life. And so whatever we can do, we should propagate that, keep that going, because each one of us has an opportunity to be a minister in life if we carry that truth with us and live it. This you should know, that the day that Syntysche wore that outfit with her midriff exposed, she was punished for 3 weeks without ice cream. So you don't have to go through that. All right, we're going to take an offering for unity now. And those of you that are here, we had the physical bags going around, the baskets. You can leave a physical offering or use the dip jar in the lobby for a credit card. We don't exist without payment in the world. We have to pay our way through the world as we operate this ministry. And those of you online, we just want to remind you that you can tithe in any one of these ways to Unity of Boulder. So while we're getting ready to do this, just if you're watching this live stream, just bring to mind that physical financial gift you'd like to make to Unity of Boulder. And those of you here, just bring that to mind. For as we open ourselves to this divine presence and bring to mind this gift we'd like to make, it will bless us in every way. And let us pray this way. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is.
welcome back to the stage our friend, the most lovely and highly acclaimed singer-songwriter, Marcy Baruch. Marcy's song, This Inner Space, from her third CD, The Strength of Love, received the Empower Music and Arts Posey Award for the Best Healing Song of the Year. Her intimate mastery of deep listening has made her a sought-after studio and live harmony vocalist whose harmonies have graced over 50 recordings. Based in Boulder, Colorado, Marcy co-leads Igniting the Fire of the Heart, a dynamic chant and kirtan event offering medicine songs from spiritual lineages around the world. She's also passionate about her work as a vocal coach. Please stick around after the service. She'll have some CDs for sale and is an absolute joy to talk to up close. And of course, you can find her all over the internet. Let's give a big warm welcome to Marcy Baruch.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Are you all ready to have some fun? Okay, we're gonna do a little rehearsal here. When I say moving, you say moving. You ready? Moving, 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 moving. Okay, awesome. You'll know it when it happens. What else do we want to lay down here? Anything else that you think they should know? You will know the song on your DNA the moment it starts. And once the first verse goes by, it does the same thing on the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. Okay, same form. Here we go. Can you feel the spirit moving? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna have a little revival here. A little more vocal, please. This is our time together. Can you feel the spirit moving? This is our time together. Can you feel the spirit moving? Sing along. This is our time together. Can you feel the spirit moving? Moving in me, moving in you, moving this world in love. Moving in me, moving in you, moving this world. Open your heart and let it flow. Can you feel the spirit moving? Open your heart and let it flow. Can you feel the spirit moving? Open your heart and let it flow. Can you feel the spirit moving? Moving in me, moving in you, moving this world in love. Moving in me, moving in you, moving this world. Singing in rhythm and harmony. Can you feel the spirit moving? Singing in rhythm and harmony. Can you feel the spirit moving? Singing in rhythm and harmony. Can you feel the spirit moving? Moving in me, moving in you, moving this world in love. Moving in me, moving in you, moving this world. Moving. I will walk by faith, I will walk now. Moving. My words, my actions. Oh yes, now. Moving. How does your body want to move now? Moving, 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 moving. My life, force of life. I say moving. I am a miracle, walking miracle, moving. I will join with you now, hand in hand now, moving, moving, moving. Here we go. Moving, 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 moving. Living out loud, let me hear you shout. Can you feel the spirit moving? Living out loud, let me hear you shout. Can you feel the spirit moving? Living out loud, let me hear you shout. Can you feel the spirit moving?
so much. So much fun. We could just do that for an hour. Just dance and sing. All right, well, if you have any troubles in your life right now and you'd like a prayer partner, we have prayer partners available to you. If you stay seated in your seat, a prayer partner will come and find you and pray with you in the sanctuary or take you down to our beautiful meditation room. We also have reception right after the service with food and coffee and tea, so come join us over there. And I think that's it. Do you have anything else?
No, that sounds right.
All right, let's all rise and close with our closing song. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit